The deflection is a tactical opportunity in which you force your opponent's piece off of a square, thereby creating a tactical opportunity, such as a checkmate in this position. I will be testing you with 10 incrementally hard chess tactics that contain the deflection, and throughout, your job is to score as high as possible with a maximum score of 100 points, 10 points given per problem. Best of luck to you. Starting with level 1, for total beginner, 0 elo, white to play and win in this position, I'll give you 3 seconds to solve this. One of my favorite quotes in chess is "Tactics require observation." This is a quote from the 5th world chess champion, Max Euwe. And we have to observe in this position that we can take this queen, but the king is defending the queen at once. So it is important to find this following tactical deflection. Rook takes pawn on g7, sacrificing the rook to deflect the king off the defense of the queen. So 8 points if you found rook takes g7. If king takes, 1 more point if you found queen takes queen, and 1 more point if you found the secret sauce, king f8 or king e8, and now queen takes queen, checkmate in 1 move. That first one was invented from yours truly, but this one is from a real life chess game. Wilhelm Steinitz, our first world chess champion, played against Gelfuss in 1873, Vienna, Austria, white to play in this position, level 2, maximum points 10. I'll give you 3 seconds to pause the video. It's important to realize in this position that this king is weak on the side of the board. We can also even get to the point of saying that the king is in a mating net position. So all we have to do is try to find, via trial and error, ways to exploit this weakness. And after some searching, one might have found queen takes knight, sacrificing the queen against this knight. And here, if the black pawn takes, deflecting the pawn off a guarding position of this short diagonal, we can thus end the game with bishop f8, checkmate on the king. And that was for like 9 points. For 1 point, you had to find that if queen here, we can just move the queen away and be a free piece up. Taking here is also possible after takes. If you said move the bishop away, this is also free points, full points to you. Here is level 3, white to play and win. This was played between Wilhelm Steinitz and Wilson in London, 1862, another Steinitz game I know. Pause the video to solve. I'll give you 3 seconds. White to play. Similar to last problem, it is important to recognize that we have a strong bishop pair against this weak king on g8. And to unleash this second bishop, this pawn must move. For this pawn to move, this bishop must move. So we must create a move that deflects this bishop off the square to thus win the chess game. And that move is rook to f8, sacrificing the rook. And after the bishop takes, it's the only move, if not it is checkmate on the board. d6, discovered check by this bishop. And after a few moves, just giving up pieces, nothing black can do to stop this checkmate here. This solution was pretty straightforward, super forced. If you had all of these moves that I showed on the board, 10 points to you. On to level 4. Now we fall into kind of a wonky position. I don't know how this pawn moved up to attack the queen, but our queen is attacked, our knight is attacked. It is up to the black pieces to untangle this position. Black to play and win. Pause the video to solve. I'll give you 2 seconds. Again, with these 2 bishops, I'm really practicing these 2 bishops. If we have bishop e4 on the board, we are winning this game via checkmate. But this knight can block that check and secure complete and utter safety for the white pieces. So you had to find a move deflecting this knight off of this f3 square. I hope there's no more double bishop problems after this one. So the solution is queen to h3, very nicely forced. forcing this knight to take this queen. There are no other legal moves. And after this happens, bishop e4 is a very beautiful checkmate on this king, and that is level 4. I hope you have 40 points so far. On to level 5. It gets way harder at level 5. After Bent Larsen played his signature move b3 in the first move of the game, called the Nimzo Larsen, which carries half of his name, here he's looking like not too good. It looks like the tide has turned, and the favor is in Boris Spassky's hands with the black pieces. Here you need to pause the video and solve black to play and win. Try to solve this one. So as promised, level 5 is a little bit harder. In this puzzle, this rook is guarding this pawn really nicely. And if you try to deflect the rook off the first rank, this is not especially forced, as white can just play something like g5 here. And it's very hard to win. After rook h1, good defense with king f2 is put up. If you found this, I'll give you 3 points out of 10, but it's incorrect. We have a more efficient way to continue our attack, and that is with the brilliant sacrifice rook h1 to start off the combination, deflecting the rook off the g file. And that is important because after rook takes h1, we have this keen follow-up g2 attacking the rook. And now the rook is once again deflected, this time off the h file, and in particular the h4 square, because our queen will be let in on h4. If you keep this h4 square secured, we can just queen and this is over. So Larsen is like forced to play rook g1 here. And now we have queen h4 check on the king. And this is all you had to see. After king d1, queen h1 is completely winning. You had to see this far, and I'll give you full points. The game carried on a few more moves, but relatively speaking, this is all you had to find. Bonus points if you found bishop takes e3, which I think was played in the game or at some point. But mainly this idea with the double deflection and queen h1 completely wins the game. There are no ways to defend this rook. And if you take the queen, I win your rook and make a queen, and I'm winning the game. So that is the solution. It's also checkmate, which is beautiful. On to level 6. A more recent game for level 6. This was played by the great Fabiano Caruana, and this is a very famous game of his. So if you already know it, you might just cruise through level 6. How many points do you have so far out of 50? We're already halfway done. Here it is white to play and win. This was played in Dortmund, Germany in 2014. Pause the video to solve. Best of luck. So here we have another double deflection, very, very nicely done. In this position, Caruana played the stunning move rook e7. This is a brilliant move because we are sacrificing the rook and also pressuring this c7 square that is extremely weak. You're also pinning the bishop to the rook, rendering this rook's possibility to defend useless. And if king b8, which you didn't have to see, we have bishop a6 that is completely winning. But you only had to see this first move for the combination itself. And after queen takes e7, the second follow-up that is also just as stunning, bishop a6, which happened in the game, and forced resignation. Here we are threatening checkmate. By the way, this first move was a deflection tactic of the queen off of a8, and this second move is a deflection tactic of the king off of a8. So two pieces were taking up a square, and in 2 moves we removed both pieces off that square. We are threatening checkmate, and the only way to defend against checkmate, well, there are 2 ways, but the second way is not good, is to take the bishop. And once king takes, we have queen a8 that is simply checkmate. Double deflection, super nice problem, and game. Shout out to Fabi. Level 7, I hope you have been successful in your solves so far. This one is a little bit harder. It's an endgame problem, but it's all the same extremely instructive. It is black to play here. We are up a rook, but we're very scared because this pawn is scaling down the board. And our pawns are going this way. Just for your information, we are seeing this from black's perspective. Black to play and win. Pause the video to solve the problem. For this problem, there are many possible solutions, but we were trying to target the deflection one. So if you saw rook c5, rook c4, rook c3, any of these, I'll give you half points, 50%, sounds good. On rook c5, it wins because on b6, we have rook b5. And now on b7, we are covering the square, and we can go king c7, and here white can't make progress. a7, rook takes, and if the king goes up, we can just play our pawns here until this wins, so it's completely winning. But for the solve of this position, in the context of deflection, the beautiful move rook c6. What a stunner. Sacrificing the rook, deflecting the pawn off of this file. So that after g5, taking up these two squares, only winning move, by the way, you have to find this. This is worth another 3 points on top of the 6 points that rook c6 is worth. After g5, white has no moves. White will be put into zugzwang. So king a7, king c7, king a8, and we don't take this because of king b8 and the pawn will move down. So we go h5, creating a mating net for this own king. Well, not really, a stalemate for this own king. And now we have to go h4 because white is running out of moves and we want to create some moves for the white pieces. So f4, g4. There are many ways to pierce here. You can also go king c8 again. So any way that you found that solves, the principal idea is rook c6 and then a breakthrough on the queen side. If you had that far, you're golden, 10 out of 10. So here g4, and white still has so many moves, but we are there first. So let's say this, h2, g6, h1, not for a knight, h1 queen, g7, and then we take with checkmate, and that is level 7. Pretty hard, right? We're getting there. Level 8 is also a very fun one. Here we go. Level 8 is played from the black pieces perspective once again, played from a super famous game, a real game, Valeo Pons from Spain, one of the top Spanish players throughout the 2000s and the late 90s, versus Garry Kasparov, one of the greatest chess players of all time. And here we are in Linares in 2005. Black to play and win. Pause the video to solve. All yours. Take all the time you need. This is a tough level, tough problem. Respect the chess. Pause the video. Good luck. So Garry actually found the tactic in the real game, and that's why it's such a famous game and position. Here you have to firstly find a discovered attack. That would be for another video on discovered attacks. I don't know if you guys want a discovered attacks 10 levels of tactic video. I haven't done one. I also haven't done a double check one, and I haven't done a discovered attack one. Let me know if you want any of those three. For me, they're simpler tactics, so I don't know if I should do a video, if you want a video, but if you do want a video, leave that comment down below because I will be looking, and I'm really wondering if you do want it. So bishop takes f2 is a check, discovered attack on this undefended rook, and here you have options, but obviously there's one option that's better than the other. If rook takes, then we just take the rook here, and white has no counterplay. The true gem of beating level 8 is finding the opponent's counterplay, and that is with the move queen takes f2. That levies a battery on this f file, so that when we take on a5, and this is still the correct solution, you had to find knight takes e6 for the opponent. And in this position, we have a deflection tactic that Garry found. Here we have to play bishop takes g2. If you take the knight, it's checkmate. And if you move the rook, it's also checkmate on f8 or on g8, on g7, pardon. So you have to find bishop takes g2, a brilliant stunner. Once again, absolutely beautiful. If the knight takes on f8, we just take on f1, which is an equal exchange of material. The king or the queen takes, and our king takes, and we're up 2 pawns in a queen endgame, entirely winning. And if the queen takes our bishop, there is no battery anymore, and we take this knight, and after rook takes, king takes, we are up 2 pawns in a queen endgame, and we can keep our pawns, and there's no more checks after a few moves, and we're winning. So that's also winning. And here, finally, I believe this was played, and after queen takes was played, and then Garry played queen b6, and his opponent resigned here, because not only are we not tearing apart our pawn structure, but this is even better. We're keeping the pawns intact. And so his opponent resigned. But if king takes, you have queen d5, another fork here, and whatever white moves, we take and defend, and we're up 2 pawns. Level 8 complete. How many points do you have after 8 levels of tactics? Now it's getting heated. Now I have beef with you, Bev. Level 9 is packed with punch in this position. It is white to play and win. This is a chess.com puzzle, not a real life game. Let me know if you like real life games or chess.com puzzles more. I'm interested in it. So here, pause the video to solve white to play. Level 9, baby. We have so many deflections in this tactic, it was so fitting. It is a little bit easy for level 9 in my personal opinion, but if you found it hard, I'm more than happy to do so. Very, very happy about that. We had to first trade, deflect the king outside the scope of this first pawn once, and then we have this nice skewer. If the king moves out, we just take the knight and up a piece, so black has to block this with queen c8, and then once again, we deflect the king further away from the scope of our pawn that's going to be queening, and after king takes, well, by now I have foreshadowed a lot of the final combination. We have the beautiful tactic bishop takes e6, sacrificing our bishop, also forking these 2 pieces, but really deflecting the pawn off its guarding ability on f7. This is, of course, a beautiful, brilliant move, and after pawn takes, f7 you had to find for the full points, and you also had to find that on king moves, we just take this pawn and knight takes, and we have 2 pawns up in this endgame, which is completely winning. 3 pawns up after takes. So takes, f7, we are queening, or we're taking a knight. This is a very famous pattern in which black cannot stop this pawn from promoting. It's a very, very famous pattern, and I hope you learned it if you did learn it, or you already knew it, in which case you don't learn, but you probably found the tactic, which is great in that scenario. So that is level 9, and on to the final boss. 2500 plus, we have a study. So black just played the move queen takes d3, pause the video to solve the problem. It is white to play and win. This is a study by Kubel, who was a very famous study person. He's a very famous composer of studies. White to play and win. Level 10 of the deflection tactic. Best of luck. So here, every other move draws. You have to find this insanely hard move to find that creates a Zugzwang in the black position. And that move is bishop e2. And black has nothing. So it's more like by trial and error, because it's very hard to find this move elsewise. Like if you just try checks, you won't find it. It's this quiet, sudden move, bishop e2, sacking a bishop, that just wins the game. Any black move now, it's completely losing. Try me. Queen b3, GG's. Queen takes bishop, another skewer. Let's go another one. Queen h3, another skewer. There's too many skewers. Any queen move here, we take the queen with our bishop. Queen here, bishop g4. Beautiful. This is not a deflection here, it's actually a decoy, because we are luring this queen to an undesired square, in which the queen is bad on because of this skewer. The deflection is really on queen takes, because then we have a skewer here. Queen here, then we have queen e8 check, and wherever the king goes to defend the queen, you've guessed it. There's a pin. There's a pin wherever you look in this combination. Queen takes, queen g6, and on king here, you have bishop f3, also a pin, luring the queen to an undesired square, which is a decoy, and we win via a skewer. So that is pretty much all. On queen here, you have a final bishop c4 here, another skewer. Getting tired of this. Is there any other one? Queen c3! We just take the queen. That one's boring. Queen d4, we take the queen as well. And so in this position, black's best move is to resign. and let me know your final score after 10 levels of tactics. Ladies and gentlemen, we are done with Deflection. I don't even know if we have that many more themes to go through for this series, but let me know in the comments if there is a theme I haven't covered. The full series will be in the description with a link, and that's about it for me today. I have some semi-sad news at the end of this video. This will be, as you see the room is empty, it's for a reason. This will be the last video from this background, from this apartment, from this room in Amsterdam. I am moving for the next 4 months to another place in Amsterdam, but my lease is expired here, and so I had to move out. See you in the next video with a different background.